Welcome back to the Talking Tennis podcast. I'm your host, Chris, and we are waking up to a completely different landscape here in Perth after what can only be described as the upset of the year. Sebastian Baez stunning Taylor Fritz has sent shockwaves through the tournament, and suddenly the Americans, who looked invincible on paper, are showing some serious cracks. We are going to dive deep into exactly how that match unfolded and whether it was just a bad day at the office for Fritz or a sign of something more concerning. Today, we are unpacking all the chaos from day 2 and day 3. The group stages are heating up, and we are seeing exactly why this mixed team format can be so brutal for the favourites. From the unexpected tiebreak dramas to the underdogs punching above their weight, we'll break down who is surging and who is in desperate need of a turnaround as we head deeper into the week. Finally, we shift our focus to a massive day 4, which is shaping up to be a defining moment for two major powerhouses. We have the USA looking to rebound against Spain, with big question marks looming over the lineup, and a fascinating clash between Great Britain and Greece, where the rankings definitely don't tell the whole story. We've got trap games, potential lineup changes, and plenty of predictions to get through, so let's get into it. Firstly, we'll be reviewing Australia versus Norway. Well, so much for the home court advantage. Daniil got a serious reality check in Sydney, looking completely flat in a 6-3, 6-3 loss to Ruud. The Demon was erratic and too aggressive, giving Casper a lot of free points. Casper dictated with his forehand, and it looked fantastic. Honestly, Alex looked like he was still in exhibition mode with Ruud, and Ruud was just simply punishing anything short that Demon was putting to him. The real difference was the clutch factor. Ruud saved a massive 5 out of 5 break points. Every time Alex sniffed a chance to get back in it, Casper slammed the door shut with big serving or a forehand winner. It was a clinical silencer performance from the Iceman that completely suffocated Demon on his own turf. Next, moving to the women's. Talk about stepping up. With Maya Joint pulling out sick at the last minute, Storm Hunter came in cold and saved the day for Australia. It looked like a blowout earlier, but Helga actually made it a proper scrap in the second, leading 5-3 before Hunter's experience kicked in. The veteran clutched out the tiebreak to win 6-2, 7-6, and get the Aussies on the board despite the pre-match chaos. Then for the deciding tie. Storm Hunter is an absolute money in doubles. After saving the singles rubber earlier, she carried the Aussies across the line in the decider. It went all the way to a super tiebreaker, and while Dorosevic was trying to take over with his forehand, Hunter was just too sharp at the net. Smith held his own, but Hunter was the MVP for the entire day, winning 2 matches to drag Australia to a 2-1 victory. Okay, so let's move over now to Argentina versus USA. So, starting with the men, so you absolutely love to see this. Fritz was cruising early, taking the first set 6-4, but he got way too cocky after hitting a lob winner and literally mocking Baez's height with a too small gesture to the crowd. Big mistake, mate. That moment just flipped a switch in Baez, who went into full lockdown mode and just started getting completely under Fritz's skin, grinding out the second set 7-5 just to spite him. Karma is a bitch, isn't it? By the third set, Fritz had totally lost his cool, trying to blast winners that weren't there, while Baez left front rear in his head to close out the final set 6-4. Taylor might be taller, but Sebastian looked like the bigger man out there today. Then we have the women's. Complete and utter demolition job. Coco Gauff was on and off the court in 57 minutes, handing out double breadstick to Sierra, who honestly looked like a deer in the headlights against a top 10 player. Coco raced to 5-love leads in both the first and second set and just overpowered the Argentine from the baseline. She didn't just level the tie, she sent a message. Then going to the deciding tie. 1-1, Gauff pulled double duty and absolutely carried Team USA. Interestingly, Fritz was nowhere to be found for the decider. Maybe he was icing his ego after that Baez loss. So, Christian Harrison stepped in. It didn't matter, Coco was the best player on the court by a mile, dominating the net and baseline to seal the 2-1 victory for the United States. Alright, so we're moving over now to Germany versus the Netherlands. Starting off with the women. So don't let the scoreboard fool you for this one. This was an absolutely grind in the best way possible. Eva Lees got Germany off to a flyer, but she had to fight for every inch. With nearly every game going to deuce, it felt like they were playing sudden death on every service game. But Lees was just clutch when it mattered, winning big points to avenge her loss to Lemens from back in 2024. It was a rock-solid start to put Germany up 1-0. So Lee's defeated Lemens 6-2, 6-2. Moving over to the men's, Alexander Zverev's win over Taylor Griekspoor was a classic tale of two sets. The 7-5, 6-love scoreline tells you everything you need to know about shaking off early season rust. In that first set, Griekspoor was exactly the kind of tricky opponent Zverev hates early in a tournament. Using variety to disrupt rhythm and keeping things uncomfortable, Zverev looked a bit passive, relying heavily on his serve to stay alive, but getting that clutch break at 6-5 to steal the set was turning the point that released all the tension. Griekspoor hadn't lost a point during his service games in the first set until his final one, where he was broken to love. Once that first set was in the bag, the floodgates absolutely opened. The second set was a total demolition job to hand a bagel a 6-love scoreline on a player of Griekspoor's caliber shows just how high Zverev's ceiling is when he clicks. He stopped pushing the ball and started stepping in, essentially suffocating Griekspoor service games and refusing to give away 3 points. It went from a dogfight to a practice session in a blink of an eye. For Team Germany, this is the ideal scenario. Zverev got the scare out of his system in the first hour and finished looking like a genuine title contender. It sends a message to the rest of the field that while he might start slow, once he finds his range, he is nearly unplayable. If he can carry that second set form forward for the rest of the week, Germany is going to be incredibly tough to beat. So we're going to move over now to previewing Norway versus Czechia. So we have Barbara Krejcikova versus Malin Helgo. Talk about mismatch on paper. You have Krejcikova, multiple Grand Slam champion, going up against Helgo, who is currently ranked 472 in the world and mostly playing ITF events. Unless Barbara forgets to bring her rackets, this should be one-way traffic. Helgo fights hard, as we saw against Australia, but Krejcikova's variety and experience should be way too much for her to handle. My prediction, Krejcikova in straight sets in probably under an hour. Moving over to the men's, we have Jacob Mensik versus Casper Ruud. Now, this is the one to watch. On the surface, Ruud is the favourite, but Mensik is actually a nightmare matchup for him. You might remember Mensik absolutely dismantled Ruud in the Australian Open last year, beating him in 4 sets and blasting him off the court with that massive serve. Mensik is the real deal. He's got that next-gen power that rushes Casper's forehand, and he won't be afraid to go toe-to-toe with him. Ruud will be desperate for revenge after that AO exit, but if Mensik is serving well, the Iceman might be in for another long day. The prediction, this feels like an upset to me. I'm going to say Mensik in 3 sets. Czech Republic, or Czechia, takes it comfortably, likely 3-0 if the mixed doubles isn't a dead rubber. Next, we're previewing Germany versus Poland. I'm going to start off with the men's with Alexander Zverev taking on Hubert Hurkacz. So Zverev leads, but it's always a war between these two. This is a blockbuster of the day. We are talking about 2 of the biggest servers on tour going toe-to-toe. They have massive history at this event. Remember the absolute thriller in 2024 United Cup final where Zverev saved championship points to win? It's usually tie-break city when these two play. Zverev typically has the edge from the baseline, but Hubie thrives in these environments. Expect a 3-setter. So I'm going to say Zverev in 3 tight sets. Going over to the women's now, we have Ivelisse taking on Iga Swiatek. First meeting, talk about a David and Goliath matchup. Ivelisse is a fighter who loves the big stage, but she is being thrown into the deep end against the world number 1, or at least close to it, in Swiatek. Iga eats lesser-ranked opponents for breakfast, especially on hard courts where her movement is untouchable. Lise will try to be aggressive, but Swiatek's heavy topspin and consistency will likely suffocate her. The prediction, Swiatek in straight sets, but it wouldn't shock me if Lise can take a set. So, the mixed doubles factor. If the singles are split at 1-1, Poland has a massive advantage. The Swiatek and Hurkacz duo is basically a cheat code in mixed doubles. You have one of the best servers in the men's game protecting the best returner in the women's game. Germany will need a miracle if it goes to a decider. The prediction, Poland wins 2-1, Swiatek is a lock, and the Poles are favourites in the mixed if Zverev can't close it out in singles 2-0. So, moving over to USA versus Spain. Before we get into that, though, I want to talk about Fritz's injury concern. Fritz admitted to the press this weekend that he is battling pretty serious tendonitis in his knee. He revealed that he spent his entire off-season simply rehabbing the injury rather than working on his tennis. The online concern spiked after his loss in his opening match at the United Cup to Baez. Fans noted he looked rusty and struggled physically, which aligns with his admission that he hadn't been able to practice properly. So while he hasn't announced surgery, he explicitly said that if the knee doesn't improve in a couple of months of playing, he might have to do a full stop and fix it. That's in his words. This has led to speculation on forums such as X and Reddit that he might be forced to skip the Australian Open to avoid a long-term disaster, or that he will inevitably need surgery later in the year. But with that being said, we're going to look at the men's tie now. So looking at the USA versus Spain tie, the headline story is a potential late swap for Fritz, which will see Mackenzie McDonald replace him if that's the case. So if Fritz plays, he is the heavy favourite. He has the power to blast through Jamie Munar. But if my reader's right and McDonald steps in, the script flips completely. We're looking at a context where Munar has been trending up in the rankings while McDonald has hovered outside the top 100. Munar is the ultimate grinder who loves to extend rallies. And for a flat hitter like McDonald's coming in cold off the bench, that consistency is a nightmare. It's very realistic to see Munar frustrating McDonald into a loss, potentially levelling this tie at 1-1, assuming Coco Gauff handles business in the opener. There's also a massive track game element to play here. Spain is fielding what looks like a B team without Alcaraz or Dosa. And it's easy for a powerhouse like USA to subconsciously relax, thinking the singles points are automatic. A late withdrawal by their number one male player could rattle the team's focus just enough for a motivated Spanish squad to pounce. If the USA takes their foot off the gas even slightly, they invite chaos into the match. If it does go to a deciding mixed doubles rubber, that is where Spain can steal it on paper. The USA has the edge because Coco Gauff is a Grand Slam doubles champion and the best player on the court. However, mixed doubles is a notorious equaliser that often neutralises raw power. If the score is locked at 1-1, the pressure shifts entirely to the Americans. If Munar and Buzas Monera play with nothing to lose energy and catch fire in a 10-point tiebreak, a Spanish upset victory of 2-1 is very much on the cards. Okay, we're going to move on now to Greece versus Great Britain. So, looking at the late session in Perth, on paper, Greece should walk away with this, but don't write off Great Britain just yet. The opening match sees Billy Harris stepping in for the injured Jack Draper to face Tsitsipas. It is a massive mismatch in rankings, and while Tsitsipas is the heavy favourite, Harris is playing with absolute zero pressure. He has a big serve, and if Tsitsipas comes out flat or tries to coast, Harris could make the first hour uncomfortable. Realistically, though, we expect Greece to go 1-0 here, which sets the stage for the real drama of the night. So the second match is a classic trap game for Greece. You might look at the rankings and think Maria Sakkari has the edge, but the history here is screaming upset. Emma Raducanu has a perfect 4-love record against Sakkari and has never even dropped a set to her. Sakkari often feels the weight of the world in these team events. If Raducanu's psychological hold over Sakkari continues and she levels the tie at 1-1, momentum completely shifts to Britain. That leads us to a potential deciding mixed doubles, where Great Britain actually becomes the favourite to steal the whole thing. If the tie is split, Greece will likely have to trot out a fatigued Tsitsipas and Sakkari again. Meanwhile, Britain has a secret weapon on the bench in Neil Skupski, a formal doubles world number one, if it comes down to a shootout. Britain's ability to field fresh doubles specialists against Greece's tied single stars is a massive advantage. So, while the rankings say Greece, the matchups say this could be a huge win for Team Great Britain. Okay, so we're going to pivot now to the Brisbane International, and we're looking at the preview here. So, Brisbane International kicks off today with the men's ATP 250 and the women's WTA 500 events taking place just 2 weeks out from the Australian Open in Melbourne. On the men's side, top seed Daniil Medvedev, currently ranked world number 13, is the man to beat. He is the number 1 seed, while the other notable entrants include Alexander Zverev, Rybakina, Joao Fonseca, and Denis Shapovalov. But the big news is the return of Nick Kyrgios. The local star is playing his first official tournament since March last year at the ATP Masters Thousands in Miami, where he lost in the second round. Currently ranked 671 in the world, he'll be looking to make an impression against his first-round opponent, Alexander Zverev, and earn a wildcard for the Aussie Open, just as he did for this tournament. On the women's side, Kyrgios' close mate and world number 1, Maria Sakkari, is the one to beat as the defending champion. Meanwhile, world number 4, Amanda Anisimova, and my personal favourite, world number 5, Elena Rybakina, will be the ones to watch. Turning to my predictions for the Brisbane International, on the men's side, I am fully backing Daniil Medvedev to take the title. I'm banking on him to really turn the page on last season and make a massive statement right here in week 1. He needs a fresh start, and I think he's primed to open his campaign with a trophy. If he's locked in, he's the man to beat. On the women's side, I'm going with my absolute personal favourite, the player who has not only captured the hearts of the people of Kazakhstan, but also stolen mine as well, Elena Rybakina. In my eyes, she is the best player in the world. She looks incredibly settled in her game right now, and that calm, formidable presence makes her a nightmare for anyone across the net. I'm tipping her to go all the way. So that wraps up another packed episode. We have covered the absolute chaos of days 2 and 3. Give it to me straight. Does Munar actually have the game to rattle a cold McDonald, or is the USA depth just too much? And in the big Brit-Greek showdown, are we watching a legitimate upset brewing with Raducanu or just wishful thinking? Tell me if you're buying my upset alert stock or if you just think I'm playing crazy. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss our reaction to these day 4 matches tomorrow. If you think I am crazy for picking a Spanish upset or backing Raducanu, you can let me know on X at Talkin' Tennis. I want to hear your takes. Enjoy the tennis, everyone, and we'll chat again soon.